Crash Course on Canadian 911 Emergency Services. Canada's Emergency Medical Services (EMS) system is highly regarded around the world for its prompt response times, advanced medical care, and well-trained personnel. The system has come a long way since its inception in the early 1970s and has evolved to meet the ever-changing needs of Canadians. In Canada, there are two levels of ambulance services that respond to 911 emergency calls: Basic Life Support, BLS, and Advanced Life Support, ALS. 1. Basic Life Support, BLS. BLS ambulances are staffed by emergency medical responders, EMRs, or primary care paramedics, PCPs, who have completed a minimum of 120 hours of training. BLS ambulances are equipped with basic medical equipment such as oxygen and first aid supplies. BLS paramedics are trained to stabilize patients and transport them to the nearest hospital for further care. 2. Advanced Life Support, ALS. ALS ambulances are staffed by advanced care paramedics, ACPs, who have completed a minimum of 2 to 3 years of training. ALS ambulances are equipped with advanced medical equipment such as defibrillators, ECG monitors, and medication. ALS paramedics are trained to provide advanced medical care such as administering medications, performing advanced airway management, and providing cardiac monitoring. In addition to these two levels of ambulance services, some provinces also have specialized ambulance services for specific types of emergencies, such as air ambulance services for transporting patients in remote areas or critical care transport for transporting critically ill patients between hospitals. In order to provide ambulance services in Canada, ambulance services providers must meet certain requirements and standards set by the provincial and territorial governments. These standards may include: 1. Minimum staffing levels for each ambulance and the qualifications required for each position. 2. Minimum response times for ambulance services to emergency calls. 3. Equipment and supplies that must be carried on each ambulance, depending on the level of service provided. 4. Training requirements for paramedics and other ambulance service personnel. 5. Requirements for quality assurance and reporting to ensure that ambulance services are providing safe, effective care to patients. Overall, the ambulance services in Canada are highly regulated to ensure that they meet high standards of care and are able to respond promptly to emergency calls. History. In the early days of EMS in Canada, ambulance services were run by funeral homes and private companies. The services were often slow, uncoordinated, and lacked any standardized training or medical protocols. In 1965, the Canadian government established the National Health Grants Program to improve access to health care across the country. This program funded the creation of the Emergency Health Services (EHS) system in the early 1970s. In 1988, the Canadian Standards Association (CSA) published the first national standards for EMS in Canada, which led to the establishment of national guidelines and protocols for ambulance services. Today, the EMS system in Canada is highly regulated and consists of a coordinated network of ambulance services, hospitals, and emergency departments that work together to provide timely, effective care to patients in need. The EMS system in Canada has achieved several notable accomplishments, including: A. Advanced medical training and equipment. Paramedics in Canada are highly trained and have access to the latest medical equipment, including defibrillators, ECG monitors, and medication. B. Prompt response times. Ambulance services in Canada are typically required to respond to emergency calls within 8 to 10 minutes. D. Coordination with hospitals. Ambulance services work closely with hospitals and emergency departments to ensure that patients receive appropriate care as quickly as possible. E. Public education. Many ambulance services in Canada offer public education programs to help people learn about emergency preparedness, basic first aid, and CPR. Despite the many successes of the EMS system in Canada, there are still several challenges that need to be addressed, including: 1. Funding. Ambulance services in Canada are often underfunded, which can lead to inadequate staffing levels and slow response times. 2. Rural access. People living in rural areas often have limited access to ambulance services, which can lead to delays in receiving medical care. 3. Mental health. Ambulance personnel often face high levels of stress and trauma, which can lead to mental health issues. The EMS system in Canada varies from province to province, with each region having its own set of guidelines and protocols. For example, some provinces have a two-tiered system of ambulance services, with basic life support, BLS, and advanced life support, ALS, services, while others have only one level of service. Interesting stories. In 2017, a team of paramedics in Toronto successfully revived a man who had been without a pulse for 45 minutes. The man was eventually discharged from the hospital with no permanent damage. In 2019, a paramedic in Vancouver saved the life of a baby who was choking on a piece of food. The paramedic used his training to dislodge the object from the baby's airway, and the baby made a full recovery. In 2020, paramedics in Calgary successfully delivered a baby in the back of an ambulance on the side of a busy highway. The mother and baby were both healthy and transported to the hospital for further care. In conclusion, the EMS system in Canada has come a long way since its inception in the early 1970s. Despite facing several challenges, the system continues to provide prompt, effective care to Canadians in need. With highly trained personnel, advanced medical equipment, and a coordinated network of ambulance services, hospitals, and emergency departments, the EMS system in Canada is a model for other countries to follow. We hope this video has given you a taste of all the incredible experiences Canada has to offer. If you're ready to start planning your own adventure to Canada, please ensure to use our Booking.com referral link. https://www.booking.com/index.html?8=7989335 to book your flights, hotels, car rentals, local attractions, and more. It's an easy and kind way to support this channel and make sure you get the best possible deals on your trip. Thank you. Anhub Metaverse team at Vancouver, Canada, CA.